We all share the same fate. None of us are getting out of here alive. In 100 years, who's going to care? You know, I've lived most of my life now, but I want more. So far in my life, I've not managed to get rich or generate, you know, an ongoing passive income. And I've spent a lot of my life chasing money and trying to get as much money as I can, but not really knowing what I want out of it. I've spent a lot of my life worrying about money and worrying about paying the bills and stressing while I'm in a job with high targets. You know, don't get me wrong, I've had tons of really great fun times in my life, but most of those times have been, they don't cost me anything. They've not been stuff that I've had to pay out a fortune for. So now I'm looking forward and I'm looking ahead and I'm thinking, what do I want my life to look like between now and the inevitable? Which could be any time. So my wife and I are pretty healthy at the moment, and stats say that, you know, we could live for another 30 years. But stats also say that if we carried on working till 67, then our healthy years ahead of us would be reduced to a fraction of that. And the passing of time is not going to slow down, like it or not. So the phrase, in 100 years, who's going to care, from one of my favourite films, has been really thought-provoking for me recently. You know, I think about 100 years ago, my great-grandparents were alive. I never knew them. I don't know anything about them, really. You know, does how they live their lives affect me, affect the way I've lived my life? No, not at all. You know, it's not like they were multi-millionaires and passed down their mansions and estates down through the ages to me. Nothing like that. And in 100 years' time, most of the people on this planet will be dead and gone, you know, unless we start living majorly longer. But currently, as of now, 100 years' time, most of the people will be gone. And who's going to care in 100 years' time when I'm gone? No one, really. They'll just be getting on with their lives. Now, when people are gone, there's nothing really left. There's no kind of evidence left. The only things that seem to remain are buildings and trees, from what I can see. You know, the passing of time's really hit me recently. In my younger years, when I was only in my 30s, or even in my 20s, I had no idea how fast retirement age would creep up on me. No idea. I've mentioned before, we lost our dog last November. It's a year ago. You know, I remember the day that we got her. You know, that was 14 years ago. She was 14. 14 years ago, I was 40. Still not thinking about retirement back then. And it's just gone, just like that. You know, we've lived in our current house for 20 years now, and I would have been 33 when we moved in. And again, you know, the start of my life, and it's just, again, gone just like that, in the blink of an eye. You know, so here I am at 54, my wife's 59, time's not slowing down, and we're becoming extremely aware now of our mortality. So going forward, the plan is to completely downsize and sell the house, get our money together so that we can generate an income, so that we don't have to worry about the bills, and then all of our time is our own. If I knew back then in my 20s what I know now, I would have saved and started and just focused all my efforts on building a pot, a pension pot or whatever, a savings pot, so that I wouldn't have to work, and I'd try and aim to do that as soon as possible. I wouldn't have wasted my time drinking and just watching my life, you know, fly by. But, you know, we can't change the past. It's about what we do going forward. But it is a shame, you know, that this isn't taught in schools. It's kind of like they want you on the treadmill paying your taxes and contributing to the financial coffers. And then when you become of retirement age, you know, you're a liability. You're a burden on the NHS. You're a burden on the finances. And of course, you know, ideally they don't want you to live very long in retirement because you'd be a drain. Going forward, the plan is to have our income coming from our investments, pays all the bills, keep our bills absolute minimum, our outgoings absolutely minimum, and also going forward on the channel, I'm going to be documenting our monthly outgoings compared to what our income has been generated from the investments, because I think that'll be interesting, because I know there's a lot of people watching that you know, don't believe that we can do that. And so I'll show you every month. We'll go through the finances, go through the budget, and then if we can do that, if we can pull that off, then enjoyable moments won't have to be snatched between trying to pay the bills and work. It'll just be ongoing, doing the things we want to do, doing the enjoyable things which don't cost anything. So it's true, in 100 years' time, none of us will be here, right? But here we are, and the question is, what are we going to do with the time that's left?